Hello everybody, Kate here, and this is our Spotfire session from my car. Sleeping Beauty is in the back seat. She's more comfortable than she looks, I hope. I am babysitting my granddaughter Sadie today, and it really brought home to me how complex the life-work balance is. And we talk a lot about life-work balance as though there's some formula to working this out, and I don't think that's true. I have a bit of an issue with work-life balance as a concept, on the basis that I think that we live life, and there is the chance of balance is not realistic. That at the end of the day we have to look after ourselves, and we need to make sure that we reduce our stress levels, whether we are at home or at work, as much as possible. And I'm not sure there is such a thing as a balance. But today I want to particularly talk to you about dealing with that time in your life when you've got small children. I think that there are many seasons in our lives when all of this is a lot more difficult. I'm very fortunate now that I am 56 years old. My kids have grown up. I can pretty much do what I like. I'm not bound by kids and all of those expectations anymore. So that makes life very easy for me. I've also lived through that time in my life when I had teenage children and my parents were unwell, and they both died 6 years ago. And that period of time before their deaths was incredibly stressful and difficult, and I know that that was really a hard time. But I don't want to focus on that today. I think that's another whole Spotfire session by itself. Today I want to talk about when you're dealing with children, particularly small children. I know this experience very well. I had 3 children myself, and then I also have a stepdaughter, and I became a single parent when I was pregnant with Tom. So this was nearly 20 years ago. It is 20 years ago. Tom, I was 4 months pregnant with Tom. Lucy was 8. Georgie was 6. Georgie had disabilities, and it was a very, very stressful time in my life. But I have to tell you that I think the way in which I dealt with this is not because I was superhuman, because I don't think anybody is. I think that at the end of the day, we have to take responsibility for our own health and well-being, even when we're super stressed. And the way in which I made that period of my life work was community. I think the saying that it takes a village to raise a child is true, and I think that we need to find ways to access those support networks that are around us. I think that often we're very proud. We think that we have to be superhuman, that we have to be able to manage ourselves, and that if we ask somebody to help us, that we're demonstrating a weakness. And I don't think that that's true at all. I think that when we look after ourselves, that does mean we ask for help when we need help. And I know that at that time I had 3 kids. One of my children had disabilities and the other one was brand new, and I just couldn't do it by myself. There was just no way I could do it by myself. And I just called on help from family and friends to make that happen. I did some work on a tribunal at that stage, which was good work, because it was very, very part-time and short sprints of work. And one of my dad's friends said, I will walk around the city with Tom in a pram, poor Bubba's not well, with Tom in a pram while you're sitting hearing cases, and then call me when you need me to come up to feed him, or I'll call you if there's a problem. And it worked a treat. It worked an absolute treat, and I was forever grateful for this woman who looked after Tom during that time. My aunt was retired, and she used to come over on Mondays, and she would do washing and cook a meal and just help, just be there for me. I think we need to ask, and I in particular, I think we need to look after our mental health. I had a client many years ago, a child support client, and she was a single parent. She had twins, and she was in a state, she was living herself, possibly here in South Australia, I can't remember which state she was in, and she didn't have any family or friends, and she was completely isolated with baby twins. And despite this not being a child support question, I said, how are you looking after yourself? How are you managing this by yourself? And she said she was, you could tell that she was really stressed and not coping. And I said to her, are you religious? And that's true, Leanne. So often we hold back from asking for help because we don't feel like we're enough. And I think that that's so true. And I said to this woman with the baby twins, I asked her, are you religious? And she said, not overly. And I said, have you thought of joining a church anyway? Just because she needed to find some people who were going to be there for her and help her out during that incredibly stressful first year of those twins' lives. Because how can we look after baby twins if we can't look after ourselves? She wasn't getting any sleep. She just was, beside herself with exhaustion. And I felt that the children were at risk if she didn't find some support networks. Sometimes people say to us, oh, can I help? And then when we do ask for help, they say no. But we assume often that the reason that they're saying no is because they didn't really mean it, or we're not enough, or there was some other problem, and we personalise the no. But the no is probably that they're not available on that day, or they need more notice, or whatever. We shouldn't assume that if we ask for something and somebody says no, that that's a personal attack on us, because it's not. It's just in that moment that person can't help. But we should never stop asking for help when we need help, because we cannot go through those incredibly stressful periods of time in our lives without getting some support. So if you've got the opportunity to share the burden with somebody else, or if you've got friends in a similar situation, that's when you need to see what you can do to help each other. I had a really good friend who lived down the road from me when I'm sitting outside somebody's house and they've now decided to mow the lawn. I had a really good friend who lived near me when I was a single parent, and she was a single parent, and I was working and she wasn't. She was on Centrelink payments to help support herself. And the way we helped each other is that she would cook meals for me, and I would drive past her house after I'd picked up the kids from childcare, and I would pay her for making meals for me. Like, we just found ways to support each other as much as possible. Community, people. I think that community is just vital in providing self-care. We don't have to do this alone. We're not superhuman. We need to support each other so that we can take some time out, so that we can look after ourselves, so we can nurture ourselves. And when we do that, then we're going to be okay. So that's it for me today. I'm on my way to Kinder Gym, and it's dress ups, and we've got the Emma outfit here, so we will be changing into Emma before we go to Kinder Gym today. But I hope this has been of some assistance to you. Community, look after each other. That's what we need to do. We need to help each other, reach out, ask for help, and support ourselves, look after ourselves, and look after other people. And if somebody asks you for help, then take it. Then offer, follow through. Do what you can to help people, and then you can ask for help when you need it. All right. Let me know if I can be of any further assistance to you. Okay. See you next time. Bye.